Hey guys, Paleo GreenByrd here. I hope everyone is doing fantastic. It's a little cold here in Maine. I think we're in the 20s. It was real cold this morning. I think we're in the teens, but it's not too bad now. I can just barely see my breath, so I think it's warmed up a little bit. So I thought I'd take this little slab that I've been working on. You can see it's pretty thin. I mean, it's a slab, so it should be thin, but you know, slabs aren't always as easy to work as we want them to be. And I thought maybe I'd put some notches in here because it's something I can do relatively quickly, get back in, warm up a little bit, and then once it gets a little bit later in the afternoon and starts to really warm up, I will, you know, maybe I'll come out and bust up some stone. I've been dying to break into some of that big rock that Richard sent me from Anderson Lithics, and I've just been itching to smack some rocks in general, some big spalls. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I apologize for the background noise. I am napping right now, probably only about 50 yards, well, probably about closer to 100, well, 50 yards, 75 yards from a main road. So, so there's going to be a little bit of noise. So stay with me, and we'll get these notches in here. I know I've done some notching videos before, so if this is boring, go ahead and skip it, and come back for the next one. All right, so the wind's picked up a little bit, so you might get a little bit of the noise from the wind, and of course, that makes it a little bit colder, so I may have to do this in a couple different steps. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to try and get some even notches in here. I have kind of a rounded base. I don't know if I'm going to keep it like that, or if I'm going to, you know, maybe cut into the, you know, down into the base a little bit, give it a little bit of a design. So we'll just have to wait and see. So I'm going to try and pick which side I think I want to start with. With these rounded bases, oftentimes you'll get one side that's not quite at the same angle. So I'm just going to grind and see what jumps out at me. And because this side here has a spot that kind of dives down, it's a little bit thicker. Let's see if I can get it. The camera's at a weird angle here, so I apologize. This side here is a little bit thicker than this side over here. So I think that's what I'm going to start with. And my pressure flaker looks like it's pretty good, so I will leave it the way it is. I'm just going to lay this flat. And I'm going to do side notches. I'm going to go a little bit closer to the bottom of the base, just above where the curve is, just above where the curve hits the straight edge of the point. Try and get these as straight as I can. That's the ticket. Getting them straight. So I got a good start of that notch right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it right over. Well, I'm just going to show you that, but I mean I'm going to flip it over to the other side and start making a notch on that side before I go too deep on one side, for a couple of different reasons. Obviously, you know, so I can try and line them up as best I can, but also I flip them back and forth because if I get a notch that stalls, at least I can try and keep them relatively the same. Let's see here. Go down a little bit. Well, relatively the same depth. Now, as I work these slabs, and you'll find the same, you'll get them thinner and thinner, which means you're less likely to get a stall. I mean, you still could get a stall, but it's much easier to do that when you're trying to notch something that's thicker than it could be. All right, and that's acceptable. I'd say that those notches match. What do you think? They're pretty close. I'm going to switch over to my finer horseshoe nail. Actually, it's not my finer horseshoe nail. I have a smaller horseshoe nail, but this is finer than the pressure flakers that I'm using. And I have a big horseshoe nail that I think would make an awesome notcher, but I haven't put it on the handle yet. So I'm going to use this. Again, I'm going to keep it flat. The reason I like to keep it flat is because for me personally, it helps me keep that notch going straight and not have a tendency, because I mean, when you use, it's just like if you shoot, you know, if you're right-handed and people have a tendency to shoot left and down. It's the same thing when you're flint knapping. It's just the mechanics of your body. So I'm trying to kind of fight that, keep my wrist flat, come straight down on it. It's easier for some people than it is for others. But that will, that was a good one. That will help keep everything nice and, oops, there we go, see, fix it. Oh, I lost my ear on that one, I think. Ah, dang it, I did. Shoot. All right, that's all right. So that's what happened. I blasted my ear off. Dang it, that's a bummer, because things were going pretty well. Bump up to the bigger tool. Let's see how we're going to save this. May just have to go with wider notches. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't feel like messing with it. Not today. See if we can get better notches on the next one. Here comes that wind. See, that right there is what I wanted on both of them, on both ears. But that one blew off, so that happens. Not gonna let it ruin my day. But I do need to figure out a way to fix it. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to shorten this point. This I think is what I'm going to do, because I want those nice notches. So I'm just going to, let's see here. Maybe I'll grab a hammerstone or a small billet. Like this. Oh, and I broke it. I got shock. Damn it. Let's make a birdie. Oh, actually, I'm going to save that, I think. That's too bad. That was a beautiful point. I screwed it up in so many ways, but that's okay. That's all right. Let's grind this base. I kind of felt that happening. You know, I should have. What I probably should have done was put it on my leg, support it, and just lightly tapped it to get that base to come off. I'm a little bit rusty. That's what happens when you don't get consistent seat time as well. Got to do the work. But I know it's cold, but I'm going to be getting a lot more seat time. A lot. Actually, let's flip this around. So now I'm just kind of zigzagging where that broken piece is. We're going to turn this into a birdie. So this point was headed out to somebody, so obviously it's not now. Could break out my leather pad right now. It's really cold and I can't really feel my fingers very well. So I think I'm just going to stick with the rubber pad. You know, accidents happen, mistakes happen. This is flint knapping. It doesn't always go the way you want it to go. And it can be frustrating, but I'm not going to let that happen. Alright, so let's try this again. If nothing else, we're going to get some experience, some practice notching. So we're going to settle for this. Put a little bit of a point on it. Side just wants to be straighter than the other. Alright, so we're going to leave it right like that. Again, it's probably going to be a necklace point or maybe a display arrow at this point. This next one will probably be better. I'm shaking the rust off. Cut me some slack. Alright. So that's what we have so far. I know it's kind of hard to see. I'm going to put some notches in it. Hopefully do a better job than last time and not bust this thing up, but that base is pretty thick. So, let's put some side notches in it. I've got a nice place to do that, but it's a little bit on the high side, so I'm going to try and see if I can bring it down a little bit. That's not bad. That's my chicken. I think I blasted that ear off again. So it's okay though. Just make this one over here to match. Nope, this one's going to be a loss. Try and fix it, but it's going to be ugly looking.
"2,000 years later."
Just going to trim these edges just a tiny bit. I'm not going to go crazy because I don't want to start changing the shape of this thing. Not now. that angle that does it. I need to correct and fix that habit. But we'll just, I think we'll call it there. I think what I'll probably end up doing with this is I think I am gonna mount this onto something. It'll cover up that ugly notching. Because I mean, it's still functional. It just does not look pretty at all. So let me show you what we're left with. So we have this piece to rework. This is the point that we're left with. Let me give you a better shot than that. All right, so there we are. You can see those notches are just incredibly, they're just too big. But anyway, I'll mount this into an arrow. I'll be able to hide that without a problem. And at least we saved it. And I'm gonna go get another slab that I've been working on and see if we can't get a decent one done. Okay, so before we go on to that next piece, the next slab that I have, I wanted to reflect a little bit about what happened on that last attempt at notching and how I think I'm going to fix it. So as I start to get my slabs and my percussion work and everything thinner and thinner, the difference there is, and I should have known this, it's just pure me spacing it, is that the reason that I kept blowing those ears off is because I was actually taking a flake. And whenever you take a flake, if you look at even percussion, when you hit your platform, you've got it creates that bulb of percussion and it feathers your flake out. I mean, that's what we want it to do, right? That's what it's designed to do. That's what we do when we pressure flake. It, sometimes it can be a little bit more elongated, but it still is feathering. It's always wider than the tip of your pressure flaker, right? So that's what was happening to me. I was used to kind of having thicker points, I guess, maybe. And I was actually applying pressure and pulling it off, making a flake. And of course, what's going to happen is that energy wants to go somewhere. It's not going to just go straight in the direct line of your pressure flaker. It wants to feather out. It wants to take the path of least resistance. That's what Flintknapping is all about. Is pushing that energy into the stone, and as it goes into the stone, it wants to rise and spread so that it can feather out and it can escape. Unless of course we exert our force in an incorrect manner and we get our hinges and our steps and things like that. So that's what was happening. That's why I was blowing those ears off. And so what I need to do now that these points are a lot thinner than what they used to be is much more of just kind of a pecking sort of motion, where I'm just pecking. I'm getting rid of that material that's there. Not trying to run a flake or anything like that. I'm probably not going to run the risk of stalling, because it's thin enough to where I'm really just, like I said, breaking off those pieces. And if I do stall, then maybe I do just really, really tiny at the edge of it with the, where'd it go, with that little horseshoe nail. Maybe a little bit of pressure flaking, that same technique. I'll probably still get a little bit of a feather, but that is what I did wrong. And that's one of the most important things that, for me personally, about Flintknapping is not doing the same thing over and over. When you make that mistake, stop and think about it, and not just think about like what went wrong, but forget about what went wrong. Forget about the fact that it didn't do what you wanted it to do. Just look at what it actually did. What did it do? Did it feather? Did it stall? Did it hinge? Did it step? Did it chatter? And once you establish what that did, work it backwards in the formula. So I blew that ear off. So I know that it spread that energy out. Why did it spread that energy out? What kind of a technique induces that type of result? And that's how I came to the conclusion of I'm loading up on the stone, on the pressure flaker too much, and then when I'm releasing and plucking, it's feathering it out, and that's blowing off. It's going to blow off that ear every time, unless it's a thick point. which I don't want. But unless it's a thick point, if it's a thin point like that, it's going to blast that air off every single time because it's thin and it's spreading, and that's what that technique is designed to do. So I'm going to go get that other blank, and we're going to try and do this again the right way, and let's see what happens.